Alright guys, so today's video is sponsored by Soundcore. And although they sent me these headphones, they don't get to preview the video before it was released to you guys. They didn't tell me what I could or couldn't say, and all of the opinions in this video are my own. So the embargo has been lifted on the Soundcore Space One Pro, which pretty much means you're gonna see a lot of videos in your feed on these today, because Soundcore sent these out to me probably a month ago, maybe a month ago. So I've had plenty of time to use these. The Space One Pro basically is like taking on the big boys when it comes to headphones, or at least when it comes to wireless noise canceling headphones, because these come in at $200. They have some really interesting features, and you can tell that Soundcore pretty much knew what they were trying to go at, because as a reviewer, and this is me kind of like pulling back the curtain a little bit, Soundcore even sent these charts that show the Space One Pro in comparison to not only the lineup of Soundcore headphones that are already out there, but also against some mid-range headphones. And then it kind of paired them off against the different lineup from Bose, the different ones from Sony. So they feel really confident in this new pair. Now, one thing, and this has nothing to do with the sound or anything like that, that I think is really unique about these, and I think it's kind of cool, is the headband is split up into like 5 different segments. They have this new thing that they're calling Soundcore Engineered Flexi Curve Structure. Basically what that means is you can take the headphones from like its normal, open position. The ear cups do swivel on both sides, but you can then twist these where it, breaks down to about the size, well, Soundcore in their thing that they sent us says about the size of a donut. Now that's a pretty big donut, but that is very small for a pair of headphones like this. Which, with the headphones going this small, the only thing that Soundcore included to keep these in is a pouch. Now, I definitely would have liked to have seen a hard case, because at the end of the day, these headphones still are $200, so you want to make sure that they're protected. But outside of that, these are both high-res wired and wireless certified. It does support LDAC playback, so you're getting one of the best Bluetooth codecs out there. It also supports Dolby Audio, which is huge. Not a lot of headphones do this. And they've also upgraded the noise canceling to what they call Adaptive ANC 3.0, which means it will just adapt to the environment that you're in. Just all the noises going on around you, it'll just kind of alter itself to block a lot of that out. And then it's also using 40mm triple composite drivers. Now these are different drivers than what they've used in their previous headphones. And we'll talk about this a little bit more when we get into the sound, but it definitely separates it from the other ones that they've released. Now, moving back to the headphones themselves, they are available in 2 different colors, basically a white and a black. I have the white version here. I mean, it looks like a premium looking headphone. Now, when you pick it up, it is extremely light. It really doesn't feel like there's much to them at all. And you can tell like the headband was kind of inspired by the Sony XM5s. The ear cups on these are like super, super soft. You can tell they're memory foam. I didn't have an issue with like my ears touching the inside of the ear cups. Now, one thing I do want to point out, and this kind of surprised me, is these headphones don't have smart sensors. So it doesn't pause when you take them off, and it doesn't go back to what you were listening to when you put them back on. And I've kind of gotten used to this in a lot of headphones, so I was kind of disappointed that this pair didn't have this. But what the headphones do have is on the left side, you have a normal jack for a headphone cable. You have the USB-C input to charge these. There is a power button and a noise canceling button. And then on the right-hand side, you have your play, your pause, your volume up and down, and the ability to skip your track. So all of your controls are actually physical buttons. And I prefer physical buttons over touch controls or over swipe controls. It just works a lot better this way. Now, as far as what they include in the box, like I said, you do get a little soft drawstring pouch to keep the headphones in. It does come with a 3.5mm cable, and I'm gonna say the 3.5mm headphone cable does feel extremely cheap. It is a very thin wire, but it does also come with a USB-C cable, which again, you are gonna need to charge these. And the battery life on these are solid. It's just solid overall. It's definitely not the best that I've seen out there, but it really does compete with a lot of the higher tier headphones, because on a single charge, you can get 60 hours if you're gonna use these with the noise canceling off, and also using these with the LDAC off. But with the noise canceling on, it is going to bring the battery life down to about 40 hours. And this pair also has a fast charging feature where a 5-minute charge will give you 8 hours of use. So that is definitely something I'm happy to see because, again, I don't always make sure that my headphones are charged. It's just nice to kind of plug it in real quick, have that kind of battery life, especially if you're trying to walk out the door. Now this pair is using Bluetooth 5.3. It does support multi-point connection, so you can connect to more than one device at a time as long as you're not using LDAC mode. And then it also works with Soundcore's app. And Soundcore's app is easily one of the best ones out there as far as a polished look, something that gives you controls over a lot of different things. It's just a really useful app. Obviously, it'll allow you to keep your headphones updated. It also has their Hear ID 2.0 feature. This is really just a hearing test where it will just kind of make its own EQ based off what it thinks your listening preference is. So that's a nice touch. I did find that it was pretty accurate overall, but I actually liked the tuning that these had out of the box, which is really just Soundcore's signature EQ setting. There are other pre-built EQ settings. You can just tweak it the way that you want. You also, within the app, can turn on the easy chat feature. And this is similar to Sony's, where if you have your headphones on and you start talking, the headphones are gonna know that you're starting to talk and it will just turn on an ambient mode and lower the volume so you can carry on a conversation without actually having to take the headphones off or go into the settings and switch it into transparency mode. So I do like this. And then also within the app, you can turn on the side tone feature. So if you are going to talk on your headphones a lot, taking phone calls or whatever, you can hear yourself inside the headphones, and that just keeps you from yelling or shouting all the time, because having noise canceling headphones on sometimes makes it hard to hear yourself. So I do like this feature. And then the app also allows you to mess around with the noise canceling and the transparency mode, because the transparency mode has like 5 different levels. So if you don't need to hear like everything very sensitive, you can kind of dial that back a little bit. Same thing with the noise canceling. If you don't want to have it in that adaptive noise canceling where it's just doing everything on its own, you can switch between 1 to 5 on how much you need it to block out. And then there's also a wind mode. So if you're going to be outside on a windy day and you don't want that to affect your audio, you could switch it into that. And I feel like with all of these different modes, you have ways to block out noise in different situations. And the noise canceling on here is actually very, very good. This is the best noise canceling I've heard on any Soundcore pair of headphones. And although I don't think it's on the Sony or Bose level, I don't think it's that far off, especially when you look at these from a price comparison. If you're gonna look at the, Ultra Bose headphones, you're over $400. You're looking at the Sonys, you're around $400. These are half. And the noise canceling is definitely not half as good as the Bose or Sony. I would say it's like 75% to the Sony and the Bose. So that says a lot. So if you're looking for a pair for noise canceling, you don't really want to spend a whole lot of money, this already makes this pair a good option for that. Transparency mode, same thing. I felt like it did a really good job of picking up my surroundings, easily able to carry on a conversation without actually taking the headphones off. Now, if you are going to use these for taking phone calls, they do have 4 microphones total for this. Now, that has 6 microphones for the noise canceling, but it's only utilizing 4 for the phone calls. And it's also using an AI enhancement to try to block out a lot of your surroundings. And I think it does a really good job here. But you guys can be a judge by listening to a test here.
So here is the mic test using the Soundcore Space One Pro. It's actually raining and it's a little windy, but I wanted you guys to be able to kind of tell what it would be like if you're going to take a phone call out in your environment. So this is just to give you an idea of that.
So now let's talk about the sound. And the first thing that I want to point out about the sound is I ended up using these most of the time with the volume on max. And it's not saying that these don't get loud, but it was already maxed out at about where I normally listen to headphones. So if you're somebody that likes to like blast your headphones and jeopardize your hearing in the long run, you're gonna have a hard time doing that with these. Although I think most people are gonna be completely fine. They do get plenty loud. I just wish I had like maybe 1 to 2 more notches that I could turn it up. And maybe they're limiting this so that it doesn't distort. I never had any kind of distortion with listening to these. And they also said that they're not gonna have distortion because of the drivers they're using as well. And these drivers really do make these sound different than Soundcore's other headphones. It still has that dynamic approach. It's not trying to hold anything back. The low end on these have a very good amount of punch to them. It definitely has that subwoofer type feel, but it still retains that Soundcore space in the bass. It doesn't feel congested, it doesn't feel muddy, it doesn't feel like it closes the sound in, so the bass can hit and still feel like it's a good amount of ways away from you. This allows the mids to still have a nice forward approach. You can tell they bumped up the mids just slightly where, you know, you can hear certain instruments in male and female vocalists with no issues. It did a good job across all the different genres I switched between. I can go from like classical all the way to like metal to pop to hip hop. And I didn't feel like these headphones were just good for one genre. I felt like it did a good job across the board. And then also when it comes to the treble, it has a nice like sparkle to it. It hits right up to that point where it can be harsh, like, you know, have that sibilant sound in the S's, and then it just pulls it back slightly. So really what that's giving you is a bumped up treble, so you're getting a lot of bright details, but also really bumped up bass where you have that nice thick punch. It's tuned in a way that I like, and I know, you know, there's gonna be people out there that's like, that's way too aggressive. It's way too dynamic of a tuning. Can I pull this down some? Well, the EQ options do a really good job. I think these headphones respond to EQing pretty well. If you're looking for a pair of headphones to just flatten out the EQ and you want something that's just reference or, you know, not as elevated in the bass or the treble, this is probably not the pair you want to go with. This pair is specifically made to just listen for fun. It's made to be dynamic. It's made to make you feel bass. It's made to make you like have those bright details. But you know, it did a good job at what it's meant to do. And then when it comes to the sound stage, the sound imaging, because it has that very dynamic tuning, it is not the most open pair of headphones out there, but you know, it still left me feeling like I was in a medium to large size room. And this pair never had an issue with being able to tell where sounds are coming from. I think being able to pick them up for $200, they already stack up against the more expensive ones. I mean, you don't get a hard case and you don't have smart sensors, but really outside of that, there wasn't anything that I felt like these lacked when comparing them to the Bose Quiet Comfort Ultras or the Sony XM5s. I feel like audio quality wise, they stack up very well against those. Noise canceling wise, you're at about 75%. And I think that's really good because the Bose and the Sony, it's just great when it comes to noise canceling. It's hard to compete with that and not have a high price tag. So keeping the price down and competing as closely as they do, having LDAC playback, having really good battery life, the fast charging feature is nice, Dolby Audio is nice. Soundcore's app, just again, you have so many different things you can do within that. And the sound that these have are just going to appeal to most people. It has that consumer-friendly tuning. It is not trying to hold anything back. And I think this is going to be one that catches a lot of people's attention. But guys, that's my video on the brand new Soundcore Space One Pro. If you're interested in buying these or checking out information, again, all of that is going to be linked in the description below. But thank you guys so much for checking out this video. Thank you so much for checking out all the other videos. And as always, make sure to stay tuned for more.